Welcome to the iBook podcast. I'm April O'Leary, and this is the YouTube version of our podcast. To get the audio version, you can hop on over to Spotify or anywhere that you consume audio podcasts. We are going to jump into some really cool content, so stay tuned for our next guest. We look forward to connecting with you, and be sure to subscribe. And to start your author adventure, hop on over to o'learypublishing.com, where you can map out the entire process and see what writing a book would look like for you. Let's get started. Welcome to the iBook podcast. I'm April O'Leary, and we are in for a treat today. We've got Clayton Noblit. That's how I said that right? Noblit?
Oh, it's Noblit, but Noblit's very common as well.
Okay, Noblit, I can go with that. And he's with us today to talk about marketing for authors, which is so important. If you are sitting there and you've got a book and it is not flying off the shelf, there are things you can do. So this is what we're going to talk about. And tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get into book marketing?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in the book marketing industry, I guess, for almost 4 years now. And so I started working at the company I'm at now, Written Word Media, back in November of 2018, I guess. Yeah. And the company it was started by our founder, whose mom wrote a book, and then no one was buying the book. And our founder was a marketer, and she started to help her mom market her book. And then next thing you know, there was a whole company started. So really natural start to the company, and then it's kind of been a game on since then.
And so what have you found most exciting about book marketing since you've been in the industry 4 years now?
Yeah. I think that, the most exciting and fun part of working in book marketing is the authors. Before this, I was doing marketing for financial software, which was, the marketing is always very fun, but it's not as exhilarating to get people to buy software for, managing your receipts as it is for getting someone to buy a book. It means so much more to the authors. And you can tell how important it is that someone reads their work and how much it means. So that's hands down my favorite part about it.
That's so great. Every author is unique. That's been our experience in publishing authors. Every author brings their unique experience, their unique message, their unique voice to their book. And then trying to find those key readers, especially for a debut author, can be really difficult in the beginning. So when someone comes to you and they've got a book in hand, what are some of the first things you do with that author?
Yeah, so when people come to us and they've just published or are thinking about publishing, they might write us an email and ask us for some advice or help. And so the first thing we do is ask them to make sure that they've got all of their items completely vetted and covered. And what I mean by that is your book edited? Did you spend a lot of time looking over yourself? Did you work with someone else to edit your book? Because a common issue with new authors is they might not have a robust editing process. And then, a quick typo might not seem like a big deal, but it can be, especially with that first book. So spending time editing your book and making sure that is very much covered is very important. Another very important thing before you start marketing your book, in addition to editing, is making sure that you have a book cover that grabs the eye. So we always like to say, don't judge a book by its cover, but the unfortunate reality is everybody judges a book by its cover. So that's what everybody sees when they're looking on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, in any other retailer, right? You're looking at the book cover, and the cover really has to grab your eye. And so the important thing about a cover is, one, it has to grab your eye, it has to be bright, exciting, but it also has to look like the genre of the book, right? If I love to read fantasy books and I'm looking in the fantasy book section and I see a book that doesn't look like a fantasy book, I'm probably not going to click on it. And so you have to have this genre fit with your cover as well. And so in addition to editing and cover, we also need to make sure that you have a really good book description. And so this is important if you're selling ebooks on platforms like Amazon or Apple. On your book page, you have to have a book description that is short, concise, but also really lays out the book and what a reader is going to gain from it, or the story that they're going to experience. And so those are kind of the three things that authors need to make sure they have really nailed down before they actually spend money on marketing or their time on marketing their book.
Those are great points, really great points. And it's something that most new authors underestimate the amount of editorial help they're going to need. You know, we run into that, you know, in explaining about developmental editing and line editing, and then obviously proofreading is essential because the book speaks on your behalf and you're not there when the reader is reading it. And so if there's typos or if it's unclear or if the flow isn't right, it doesn't matter how much money you put behind marketing, it's not going to go anywhere really. And I'd like to think for authors who are building a brand, it detracts your brand. What are some of the mistakes that you see people making with book marketing?
Yeah, with book marketing, I think, you know, the number one mistake is marketing before you have, you know, those three things we just talked about really nailed down. Because like you're saying, it can hurt your brand. And one of the really important things with marketing a book is getting those early positive reviews. And so, especially with editing, if someone takes the leap to buy your book when you're a new author, and they read the book and they are confused or see typos, then they might leave a negative review. And that is so hard to overcome. So that's a really big risk that we're seeing there. Another thing that I see with newer authors and marketing their book is they don't read into the different tools that are available to them on a platform like Amazon. So, you know, Amazon is king with ebooks, right? And books in general and most things. And so, you know, Amazon, you can opt to join Kindle Unlimited, which is their exclusive program. And that gives you some marketing tools like Kindle Countdown deals or free days, where you can make your book cheaper for a limited period of time. And these can be really powerful because it gives readers that urgency to want to buy your book. And even if you don't enroll in Kindle Unlimited, it's important to research the different prices you can place your book at and the royalty implications for that. And so I think price is a really big marketing option for authors that not every author considers. I think sometimes new authors publish a book, they set the price, and they kind of view that as a set thing. When in reality, price is a really powerful tool, because if you drop your price and tell readers, hey, this is only going to be this price for a limited period of time, you're much more likely to drive some sales.
Those are good points. And, you know, a lot of that sounds like it's about flexibility, trying things out. Have you had any authors that have you know, put their books up there and it wasn't really selling, and then they made a few tweaks and they found that, wow, those little changes made a big difference?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things we see here often is the Amazon metadata. So when you publish your book on Amazon, there are metadata fields where you can enter keywords for your book. And so, you know, like when you search on Google for, you know, book marketing, you'll get a bunch of articles that come up about book marketing. Readers are doing the same thing on Amazon. So say if you wrote a science fiction novel, when someone searches science fiction, you want your book to be part of those results. And so a lot of authors, they might not see the keyword boxes when they're publishing their book on Amazon, or they might not understand what those are. And so just Googling Amazon metadata or Amazon ebook keywords can give authors a lot of information on what keywords they should be putting in those boxes. And that's going to help the right readers find your book.
Very smart. And one of the things that, you know, for prospective authors, you know, there are people who self-publish, and of course, then they're going direct to Amazon. They would be the ones to do that. But for those who are published with a hybrid publisher like O'Leary Publishing, or with a traditional publisher, your publisher is going to make sure that you have that metadata. So don't sweat it. If you're listening to this and you're saying, well, I never knew to do keywords, you can be pretty confident that if you're working with a publisher, they're going to make sure that your metadata is correct. But it's essential, as you said, for searchability, for it to get categorized the right way, and for all of the way that your book is going to be filtered when people search. So what are some things that that you would recommend are a little bit higher level things that people might need to think about? Maybe they're listening now and they're like, I've already done all that. Is there other things that they can do that
would be like getting them from a B to an A plus.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you're saying, if you're working with a publisher, that's a huge step ahead right there, right? You have they're going to take care of that metadata for you and probably help you with the description as well. So that's a really excellent thing. I think if you've got all of those features kind of nailed down, it's time to really start doing some actual marketing for your book and driving traffic to your book page. And so this is something that you could potentially contact your publisher about, ask them for advice, or maybe this is something you do on your own, depending on your relationship with your publisher. But for example, our company, Written Word Media, we promote books to email lists of readers. And we also run ad campaigns on Facebook or Amazon to authors' books. And so if you've got kind of your bases covered with your metadata, description, cover, then it's time to start considering running some ads on social media like Facebook, some ads on Amazon, or running some book promotions with sites like us or BookBub or something like that, and really starting to pay to drive traffic to your book page. And so I think that's kind of where authors really kind of turn into marketers a little bit.
Yeah.
It can be a challenging mindset shift, but that's really how you're going to make a difference there.
That is a great point, and often one we discuss around here, which is being a creative is one thing, writing a book, playing with words, ideas, working with your editor, picking out some cover designs, all of that is like candy. I hate to say it because writing a book is not easy, but once the book is out, then the real work begins, because now you have to take that creative hat, set it aside, and put on the marketing hat. A lot of times creatives don't know about marketing, and they're not comfortable with sales, or they don't feel like, the imposter syndrome comes strong, where you're like, oh my God, no one's going to want to read this, and we sort of get in our own way. So what are some of those things that you see authors struggle with that prevent them from really embracing the marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on where the mindset shift is so difficult. So every year we survey over 2,000 authors, and we ask them kind of, what's the most difficult part of being an author, what's working, what's not. And every year we always hear the hardest part of being an author is the marketing, not writing the book, not doing interviews or coming up with a book cover. It's the marketing. And so I think a good thing for authors to know is that everyone is having a hard time with this. Even the authors that are really quote unquote successful and are making a living from their writing, they still think the marketing is the hardest part of being an author. So know that you're not alone. Marketing is very difficult. I think an important shift in mindset is that marketing, especially digital marketing, is about trial and error and learning from failures. And so if you run an ad campaign and you don't get any sales and you spent $50 and nothing happens, view that as a learning experience, right? It's and next time you won't do the same thing. You'll try something different. And so shifting from that mindset of, oh, I only wrote 50 words today, what a disaster, to, okay, my ad campaign didn't go well. Well, what can I do it differently next time, and try to learn from that. So that mindset shift is really important.
Yeah. And you're right. I think that in the marketing world, just like any time that we're experimenting and trying to see what works, because if you're an author, you're a business owner, you just have a book and that's your product and that's what you're trying to sell. And so having an ad budget and some time and, marketing to learn or hire for people who know what they're doing to help you is really smart. And realizing that initially you might spend money that you don't make back, because you have to sort of prime the pump, or get the water to come out of the well, where you have to push so hard in the beginning, and then once the water's flowing, it's like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. But there's a fear of like, I'm going to spend a bunch of money and I'm not going to get anything. So how can people kind of overcome that fear?
Yeah. So I think that's a valid fear that I think a lot of people have. And I think the most important thing here is to do your research and to learn as much as you can with marketing and kind of how different marketing tactics work. There's so many resources out there specifically for authors on how to market your book. And so doing lots of research and reading, our blog has tons of posts on it, your blog as well as tons of information. And so I think doing all of this learning before and during your marketing will help you build that confidence. And I think also looking at it, like you said, like a business, right?
Mhm.
Businesses need money at the beginning to get going and churn their wheels. And businesses they could be stressful to start. And I think it's the same thing with publishing a book. You are a business when you're an author, and you need to invest in your business.
That is so true. That is so true. And it's not necessarily the if you build it, they will come. I think that sometimes the best marketer wins. Because really, if nobody knows about your book, even if it's the next best thing, it's not going to go anywhere. So, you talked about surveys and things that you do, the author surveys. What other things have you learned about authors through your surveys? I'm curious.
Oh yeah. Well, we've learned so many things. I think a big thing that we learn is the authors that tend to kind of make the most money are writing series of books, or writing multiple books, right? Like we see a clear correlation with income from your writing and how many books you've published.
Mhm.
And this really goes back to what we mentioned at the start about finding your fans, right? If you first publish a book, those people buy it. And they like your book. If you include a link in your back matter to go to your author website and sign up for your email list, the people that really like your writing are going to do that. And then you have these people on your email list. And the next time you publish, you can send them a note and say, hey, I just published another book. And they are more likely than not going to buy it.
Right.
And so I think writing multiple books and writing into series is a really powerful thing for authors. And that's how we see a lot of authors go full time with this. Of course, there are other ways to do this, right? You can, if you're doing nonfiction in particular, you can do a lot of speaking and conferences that your book can help lead up to. But multiple books and writing into series is a really common way that we see authors really meet their goals.
I love that. Both are, it's like a both and, in my opinion, right? The more books you write, the more you can help people, and that grows your brand. I mean, we work with mostly nonfiction authors, and so it's the books are branding their business. And like you said, that also opens the opportunity for speaking and other things that can kind of come along with the fact that you're an author. But it's great to think about in the business, right? What are ways, where are your profit centers? What are the things you're going to do? Is it going to be one book and then you're just going to try to market the heck out of that book and then find other opportunities that grow from that? Or is it, I'm going to really market my book and I'm going to maintain pacing where I can continue to write and put out new books and gain and build my readership that way? Because especially for fiction authors, series are really important. They're so common. My daughter loves an author, Colleen Hoover, and she writes young adult fiction, and she has read almost everything that she writes. So once you get that attractive audience, they will find you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about written word media and how you guys help authors, and what authors who are listening to us today, they're like, I need to get started on my marketing, or I totally am not interested in doing it myself. I need help. What can they do with you?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said earlier, we are a book marketing company. And so we have a few different ways that authors can work with us to generate more sales or downloads and readership. Our primary thing and what we're best known for are our email promos. And so we have email lists of over 1 million readers combined. And authors can go to our website and hit promote my book, and you choose your genre and enter your book information and what day you want your promo to run. And then on that day, we email your book out to a list of readers that are most likely to buy your book. And so what makes email promo really successful is we target readers based on the genres that they like. So if you have a nonfiction book, your book will only be sent to readers that are interested in nonfiction. And that way you're not paying to reach people that never read nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so our promos are priced differently based on what genre your book is in, because we want you to be paying the correct amount for how many people you're reaching.
Right.
So email promo is kind of our primary way that we help authors. We launched
Does the email promo, can you send people wherever they want them to go? So one of the ways we help our authors is through branding their website and then having them sell their book directly as an autographed copy, because then that way they can connect with their reader. Whereas if we send them to Amazon, it's great if they can buy the book there. And of course, we all love like one click with free Prime shipping and all of that, but there's no way to contact the reader again.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we only promote to major retailers like Apple and Amazon.
Okay.
I think it's hard to generate a huge list of readers that are comfortable buying from author websites at this point.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are there. But I do think that direct sales, in our surveys, that's one thing we're seeing is direct sales are growing all the time. And I think, as authors are building their email lists, direct sales become more effective. And then, of course, the royalty is just much better, right? It's all to the author instead of the retailer.
Yes.
So, yeah, direct sales are definitely a very effective technique.
Yeah. Well, I always say it's the triangle. What's the triangle of like time, effort, and cost? Like if you want to spend your time and your own effort, then the cost will be the lowest. But if you don't want to spend your time, or whatever, that's not the right three. But what I'm saying is like for an author who has their own website, who's willing to ship their own copies or contract with the distribution center to order fulfill for them, it's more on the author. So they have to do more of the heavy lifting, which is why they do make more royalties. One of the nice things, like you said, with Apple Books or, Amazon is if you send an email and 10,000 people ordered in a night, you would just get to collect the check, which is awesome.
Yeah,
There's pros and cons, right?
Certainly. And another good thing about email promo is, we have this graph of effectiveness versus difficulty when it comes to book marketing.
Right.
And we like to think that we are very effective and not difficult at all. You can book a promo with us in as little as 5 minutes, and you don't have to talk to us at all if you don't want to. But if you do have questions, we're very responsive and happy to move your promo to something that we think might work better, or suggest a promo. So it can be very easy. Yeah. And another product that we have that actually has been getting some really good results for nonfiction authors in particular is called Reader Reach Ads. And with Reader Reach, we run a 5-day Facebook or Amazon ad campaign for your book. And so you book it in 5 minutes, and then our team does everything else, ad creation, copy, targeting. And so this has been a really good thing because the learning curve on learning how to run ads on Amazon and Facebook can be pretty steep, and some authors don't want to do that. And then also we have done a lot of testing. We have one guy, Grant, who has spent probably 1.5 years now full-time just testing ads. And so we've got a lot of experience with this as well. So Reader Reach Ads is kind of a secondary way that authors can come to us and market their books.
That's amazing. Well, I love what you guys are doing. I think that, with authors understanding that their creativity is actually creating a business, it's an important mindset shift to make, and to understand that even if you're the creative type and you prefer spending your time on writing and all that there are services and people who can help you, that we're not here promoting if you're creative, that you have to learn how to be an excellent internet marketer. Because the thing is, like you just shared, one of the guys on your team has spent 1 year trying to figure out how to most effectively use Amazon ads. And probably for most authors, they'd rather, I don't even want to make a correlation, jump into an ice cold swimming pool, I don't know, then learn how to run an Amazon dashboard. But it's really good to enlist the help of people who know what they're doing. And clearly with what you guys are doing with Written Word Media, it's such a great service to offer for authors. So I really appreciate you being on the show today, Clayton. Is there anything else, or what's the best way for people to check out what you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody can just go to writtenwordmedia.com. On our homepage there, you can find everything you need to know about the company. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions at all, whether it's about promoting your book with us or just marketing your book in general, shoot us an email to info@writtenwordmedia.com. We pride ourselves on our customer service. We are here to support authors. Whether it's about promoting with us or just what we think of your book cover, description, shoot us an email and ask us the questions. We're more than happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I will put the link in the show notes, and be sure to reach out to Written Word Media, ask for their help, get some feedback, and try it out. I always think whatever if you don't try something, you never know if it's going to work or not. So, try an email campaign, try an Amazon ad campaign, and see how it goes, because you might find that you're able to push books out there by just giving a little bit of effort and delegating all the rest. And your readers are going to find you, and that's going to be the best gift of all. So thank you again for your time, and we will stay tuned for what we have next on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
So this has been another episode of the iBook Podcast. I'm April O'Leary signing off. Be sure to hop on over to o'learypublishing.com to start your author adventure and see what writing a book could do for you in your profession, in your career, and what doors it might open. We thank our guests for being a part of the show today, and be sure to subscribe to podcasts here on YouTube. We look forward to serving you and helping you get your book out into the world.